Yeah, the NFL does not like what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Kansas City Chiefs news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to make big changes to the roster this NFL offseason. The Kansas City Chiefs have enough distractions this offseason before they embark on what would be a historic 3rd consecutive Super Bowl title. Kansas City wideout Rashee Rice's season is in jeopardy after traffic and legal issues in Dallas. And kicker Harrison Butker made news after remarks during a graduation ceremony. What the Chiefs need to do is focus on football and continue their winning ways. Bleacher Report thinks a trade could be in order that could help solidify the roster this season. And that trade involves wideout Skyy Moore. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't exactly a team that impresses. As being in a selling mood, the team is attempting to become the first franchise in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls, Bleacher wrote. And given the Chiefs' struggles at wide receiver last year, it's that much harder to imagine them dealing a player at that position. Okay, except Kadarius Toney Kansas City would likely give him up for a strawberry Pop-Tart if they could find a buyer who still thinks the former first-rounder is an NFL wideout. But after adding Rashee Rice in 2023 and veteran Marquise Brown and rookie Xavier Worthy in 2024, the Chiefs' wide receiver room looks a lot different. And that affords Kansas City the opportunity to rid themselves of another mistake from the past few years. In 2022, the Chiefs drafted Western Michigan wideout Skyy Moore in the 2nd round. To say that Moore has been a disappointment to date is an understatement. He has yet to eclipse 250 receiving yards in a season. During late June and a good chunk of July, the NFL offseason reaches a quiet point. Everyone is preparing for training camp and the ensuing preseason stretch before the regular season begins. For the Kansas City Chiefs, General Manager Brett Veach is likely spending his time evaluating the club's expanded roster. Camp battles and preseason performances will determine who makes the cut, and some positions have tons of depth ready to compete. Davenport makes a sound case the reigning champs did invest significant capital at the receiver position. Toney and Moore, pegged as 2 of the franchise's potential top options in 2023, flopped during the season, and neither could stay totally healthy. Both players now find themselves further down the depth chart, which means good things for the offense, but makes their status on the team lean more toward expendable. Since being drafted 54th overall back in 2022, Moore has just 1 touchdown on his resume during the regular season and has less than 500 total receiving yards. It simply hasn't worked out for him on offense, nor on special teams. From a value standpoint, he has yet to justify the draft pick or development resources. With that said, it's difficult to see the team parting ways with Moore. Still just 23 years old, he doesn't turn 24 until after Kansas City's Week 1 game against the Baltimore Ravens. As a former 2nd-round pick, that alone gives the club a reason to stand by him. He also accounts for cap hits of just under $1.8 million and $2.1 million in 2024 and 2025, respectively. Neither figure reaches even 1% of the team's overall cap sheet. The injury factor must be considered too, as Veach did back in April along with Toney. With Skyway's always been a mentally tough kid, Veach said. He had that knee injury last year too, so to some degree, just these guys being on the field, staying healthy, and then making plays when their number's called. The second story is Chiefs' best offseason move, a big deal for Patrick Mahomes. As defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs knew they couldn't rest on their laurels this offseason as the league tries to keep pace. So, with one glaring weakness on the offensive side of the ball, the franchise went about fixing it. Patrick Mahomes hasn't had a speed element to his arsenal since Tyreek Hill left for the Miami Dolphins, and we saw how damaging Hill was in getting downfield for big gains. Now, Mahomes has 2 speed merchants, Marquise Brown and rookie Xavier Worthy, to dial up the launch codes for, which he already stated that head coach Andy Reid has been instructing him to do. CBS Sports named the Chiefs' acquisitions of Brown and Worthy the franchise's best off-season moves. They selected Texas receiver Xavier Worthy, who ran a record 4.21 40-yard dash at the NFL Scouting Combine, 28th overall in the 2024 NFL Draft, and signing Marquise Hollywood Brown, a 2019 first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens, whose 10 career receiving touchdowns of 20 or more air yards since entering the league are tied for the 12th most in the NFL in that span, CBS Sports wrote. Allowing the best quarterback in football to reliably throw deep again is a big deal. A consistent threat down the field was the only glaring thing missing from Mahomes' offense last season, yet he still managed to steer the team to a Super Bowl win. Now, with Brown and Worthy, who have acclimated themselves well to the team and the offensive scheme, the Chiefs loom large in 2024. Chasing 3 consecutive Super Bowls, the Chiefs appear to have fixed their only weakness. Steve Spagnuolo's defense remained largely intact, aside from L'Jarius Sneed, who is now a Tennessee Titan. Mahomes has the final stone in his offensive infinity gauntlet, and the rest of the league has to try and stop not only him and Travis Kelce, which is tough in itself, but now also 2 speed merchants in Brown and Worthy. The Kansas City Chiefs made a heavy investment at the wide receiver position this offseason. They hope the roster changes will help with Andy Reid's new offensive scheme for the 2024 season. The Chiefs' receiver problems were well chronicled during the regular season, as they led the league in drops. Fortunately, the Chiefs played much better in the playoffs, and much of that was due to Rashee Rice finishing his rookie year on a high note. The Chiefs' passing game also had another flaw: the deep ball. They haven't had the same deep threat since Tyreek Hill was in a red uniform, but the 2023 season was especially bad for Patrick Mahomes in that area. 2023 was the worst season Mahomes had throwing passes of 20-plus yards as a full-time starter. Per Pro Football Focus, Mahomes went 24-76, passing on throws of 20-plus yards for 817 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions during the regular season and postseason. He was ranked in the bottom half of the league in that statistic among starting quarterbacks. Compare that to the 2022 season, also sans Hill, when Mahomes went 31-70 for 985 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Mahomes threw over 1,000 yards in each of the 2018, 2019, 2021 season and postseason on deep passes. The third story is Rees-Zammit impressing Kansas City Chiefs teammates with willingness to do anything to be NFL success. Welsh star Rees-Zammit appears to be adapting nicely to American football after receiving a ringing endorsement from a teammate. The 23-year-old left rugby union in January, joining the International Pathway Program before signing for the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Rees-Zammit has received some positive words from the coaches, who appear to view him as a viable special teams option, as well as a possible running back. The big issue for the Welshman will obviously be learning the sport in a short period of time, but teammate Isaiah Pacheco, who is also a running back, has been impressed by Rees-Zammit's work rate. Doing great. He's doing great. He's adjusting to football. As always, it's the talent. You've got to love the sport, and he loves it, you can tell, Pacheco told reporters. He's taking coaching. He's willing to do anything it takes to get better every day. Pacheco also made a prediction for Rees-Zammit ahead of the preseason games, given the ex-Wales wing's rugby background. They don't use pads. I know that, he added. It's going to be hard to bring him down. You've got equipment on out there, so it's definitely going to be hard to bring him down. Recently, Chiefs coach Dave Toub revealed that Rees-Zammit has been starting in practice, which the 23-year-old insists has helped him develop. OTAs have been unbelievable for me because I get live reps on the field, and that's what I need, Rees-Zammit told Starcade Media. Obviously, I've never played this sport before, so being able to get the reps with the boys, being able to see how they play, how I can get myself involved in the game, the kickoff return, that's going to be massive for me. Being an option there, there's a lot of similarities with rugby and kickoff return. These past few weeks have been great for me, my learning and my development. Rees-Zammit was also asked if there were any similarities between rugby and American football, having now spent 5 months in the sport. It's got similarities in terms of kick return and being able to beat defenders one-on-one. There's awareness and trying to get into a gap, especially at running back. But running routes is completely new, he said. This is a big challenge I'm taking on, and I'm very much being a sponge in terms of learning from others. We've got a load of experienced wide receivers as well that I'm trying to pick up little bits of their games that make them great. The Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl championship rings, which were presented to quarterback Patrick Mahomes, tight end Travis Kelce, and their teammates on Thursday, are causing quite a stir. The bling, celebrating their 25-22 triumph over the San Francisco 49ers, is said to be worth a whopping $40,000 and boasts an impressive 529 diamonds, 38 rubies, and a total of 14.8 carats of gems.